Well, happy President's Day, everyone. Welcome to Non Sequitur. I'm Kyle. Steve, as always, you're on this side of me, Steve. Steve, hello.
Yeah, I'm over here. Down here.
Um,
Hi, Kyle.
you tonight's going to be, I think, what's the word? What word am I thinking of?
That's with an
Amazing,
A, I think. There you go.
right?
Amazing.
Amazing. Let's say hello to the two gentlemen that are joining us. Jake from Hugo and Jake. Welcome, sir.
Hi, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
And the one, the only, Mr. Amazing himself, Jesse Lee Peterson. Hi, Jesse.
Thank you for having. Hi, Kyle. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And hi to
Sure.
the other guys too.
Our
For
pleasure.
the other guys.
I'm gonna make just a couple of announcements, and then we'll just jump straight into it. I don't want to waste any of these gentlemen's time. Just know that on tomorrow we have Isaac Arthur back with us here, so make sure you join us for that. And then on Tuesday, the 26th, Lawrence Krauss will be with us. He wrote the book Something from Nothing. The physicist. We're going to be talking about if something can actually come from nothing. So make sure that you're here with us on the 26th with Lawrence Krauss and Bill Ludlow. And so that's all I'm going to bring up for tonight. I'm not going to go into my usual spiel because we have two guys here that I think we need to get right on into the talk. I think that something that is affecting society today, depending on which side of the coin that you're on, SJW culture and outrage culture, political correctness. So I thought it would be interesting to kind of dive in to see with two opinions where we can kind of land on that sort of thing. But before we jump into that heavy stuff, let's let these guys take a second and say hello and let you know what they do and why they do what they do. Jake, you want to start us off?
Sure. I'm Jake from Hugo and Jake. Formerly, the channel is called The Bible Reloaded, but we've kind of branched out. We do an atheist Bible study. We also do stuff like Chick Tracks and evangelical stuff, movie reviews. And then I also, and currently am right now, I am a streamer on Twitch at twitch.tv/actualjake. I do a lot more political stuff. I do open debate night pretty much anytime. It's like an open format, very, very similar to Destiny. Where if someone comes on into the Discord and they want to debate, then that's how it works. So I'm really looking forward to it tonight because I have watched some Jesse videos in the past, and I imagine we will disagree on quite a few things. So that's my stuff.
What do you think, Jesse?
I think so. What I do, 29 years ago this month, February 2019, I started a nonprofit organization called Bond, the Brotherhood Organization of a New Destiny. And we are rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. Because if we don't get men to return to their natural state of being, there's no turning around. The power, the love come through men, not through other people. We also are uniting the races with truth rather than dividing them with lies. And the reason we're doing that because the races in this country, especially blacks and whites, have been lied to. And we're more divided today than any other time in history of America. So if we don't unite the races, we're going to have a race war. And I'm trying to prevent that from happening. Also do a daily radio show. They can get me at jlptalk.com, jlptalk.com at 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific time. Heard around the world by everybody and their mama. So they can definitely get me that way. They can also check me out on my website, rebuildingtheman.com, rebuildingtheman.com.
And we'll have both of these gentlemen's those links in the description. So if you're watching this later, after the show's over, you can just click down below and go to both of those. So I guess we'll start. Jake, Jesse made a comment about the men today needing to return
Sure.
back to a state. Do you kind of want to start there and let's see where we go from there?
I've sure. What state ought men return to? like American men or Western culture men or men from the culture that informed the Western culture or Eastern culture or African culture or Japanese or like what do you mean when you say the natural state of man? Because really when you say that it just sounds like words, but it really means nothing.
Well, what I mean about natural state of man is that there is a spiritual order. We are a spirit, and there is a spiritual order to life, and that order is God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, and woman over children. Okay. And the men represent Christ on earth. He's our brother, and we represent God really on earth. The love of God come through us, and it's passed down to the women, who should be your wife, and to your children, and so on and so on. But in today's America, most men are beta males. They are women. They have been destroyed by their mothers. They have been turned away from their fathers and turned toward the mothers. And so most men have the mindset of a woman and the emotions of a woman today. And as a result of that, love is coming from below and not from above. And the love that comes from below is not real love. It's an illusion, an imitation of love. So we need men to turn back to God, which will allow them to turn back to their natural state of being.
So would you argue that the natural state of being is to act like Jesus then? Jesus is like the prototypical male?
Well, he was our perfect example of how to overcome the issues of life and not cave in. Whenever you hear men complaining and blaming and overreacting and getting angry, they are really women dressed in a man outfit, but they're really women.
So when Jesus flipped the tables on the money changers,
the power.
Hold on, guys.
A man has the power. A man has the power and know-how, insight to overcome the issues of the world because of the God that's in him.
So when Jesus flipped the tables on the money changers, he was being a beta male woman? Or was
he wasn't angry. No, he wasn't upset.
No?
Jesus had discernment, just as men who are of God have today. He had discernment, and discernment is a greater power than anger. Anyone who has anger has the nature of the deceiver. Satan is their daddy, and they are beta males. But when you can discern evil, but not hate evil, or discern injustice and not hate injustice, then you're able to overcome it. But if you hate it, if you become angry about it, it will overtake you, and you become subject to what you hate. And so anger, resentment, and hatred is all the same spirit, just with a different name.
So I guess the
Are you an atheist? Are you an atheist?
Oh yeah. And
why are you an atheist? Why are you an atheist?
Because there's no compelling evidence for the existence of supernatural things. Now Steve would say that's a agnostic, but I'll take the title of atheist.
Have you ever believed in? Have you ever believed in God, or did you stop at some point?
No, I never believed in God.
Have you ever believed? How about your father and mother? They were not an example for you?
My father went to church as a kid and then didn't go later in life.
He went to church as a what?
As a kid, as a child, and a young man. And then and by the time he was in
most of the time when you
20s, he was gone.
Yeah, most of the time when you have men and women who are atheists or agnostic or whatever, it's because their parents let them down. Their parents were not perfect parents. They were hypocrites. And the kids grew up resenting their parents for saying one thing but doing another.
Sure.
And so they figure that if this is what God is like, I don't want any part of it. Whoa. So most of the time when you hear men and women saying that they are atheists or agnostics because their parents were failures, were losers.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally possible. Absolutely. Yeah. Would you say that the like an alpha male would be a guy who's celibate and hangs out with 12 dudes all the time and a hooker? Would you say that that's like the prototypical alpha male for you most of the time? And like,
well,
and not
alpha male
procreating, of
would
course.
be an alpha male would be one, and a male who has returned to the Father, and he loves what's right with all his heart, soul, and might, and he becomes the light of the world and the salt of the earth.
So
he has perfect peace.
So a devout
and
Christian.
so in having that perfect peace which comes from God, then all his needs are met. So he wouldn't need to get married or have children. That's why he does that when he's in a fallen state. He get married, he has children, and then at some point he stopped. When he has all the babies he needed or want, he stopped and returned to the Father so that the Father's love can work through him to raise the children.
You're not married though, right?
I'm not married, no.
Oh, okay. I guess I assumed you would be. So are you a beta male?
Why did you assume?
Are you one?
Why did you assume that?
Because you just said you had to be married and procreate. I know you have kids, right?
But when you assume, you make an ass out of yourself and me.
Well, that's fine, but it's not really assumption. It was informed. I didn't assume that. I knew that.
Beta.
I asked you that because I knew the answer to it. So you need to be married to be an alpha male?
No, alpha males are not. I mean, if you want a family, it's best that you can only do it when you're a beta male. You're in a fallen state.
You can
because
only have
in
a
that
family
fallen
when you're
state,
a beta
you
male?
fall. Yeah, because
Wow.
in that fallen state, you've fallen away from your father, your earthly father, and from God. And in
Okay.
that fallen state, you're looking for love. Something is missing. And so you're looking for love. And so men and women come together in that fallen state. They get married, and then they have all the children that they want to have. And then at that point,
I got you.
after they have all the children, they stop having sex.
So
And the man returns to the father so he can guide the women and children in the right way to go.
okay, so the best peak like aspirational alpha male would be a really, really Christian incel.
Oh, really? What?
A really, really Christian
incel.
incel. No banging whatsoever. Like that.
Well,
you're
when
saving
you-
your
when-
saving your
when
seed
you
for
are
the
a
father.
son-
You know.
When you are a son of God, as I said, you have perfect peace, so nothing is missing.
Sure.
You know, Paul said that it's best that you not get married, but return to the Father, give your life to God. But a lot of people are not able to do that. And so if you go to burn, it's best to get married and do it the right way. That way you will be able to overcome it. And so if you're an alpha male, nothing is missing in your life. You have perfect peace. And in perfect peace, all your needs are met. You're not looking for love. You have perfect love. You don't have anger because you've overcome your father, the devil. You have love for all of mankind, womankind, the whole world. You don't hate your enemy. You point the right way to go.
Let me.
Are you an alpha or beta?
You asking Jake or me?
Oh, are you asking
Jake, are you an alpha or beta? Jake.
I'm not married, but I'm not a Christian, so I think you'd think I was a beta, right?
You
Beta.
are a beta, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Beta.
Let me ask a.
I'm more like a Zeta then.
Let me ask a question about the political environment that we find ourselves in. This notion of outrage culture and the SJW movement. Let's start with Jake and get your take on. Is this a lot of the things that are being kind of thrust in front of the media? Are these necessary things that we should be arguing over? And I know we'll get a different opinion from Jesse. So Jesse, hang tight. We'll come with you in just a second. But Jake, what's your view on the SJ culture, SJW culture?
It depends on the topic, right? So if you're talking about something as non-problem as like man spreading, which isn't really a thing that people endure, I don't think that's a thing people even actually argue about in any with like in good faith or that has any, I don't know, necessary outcome from that discussion. Talking about something like police brutality or and like just having that conversation, even you know, and there's statistics
big reward
around depending on how you view it, but just the fact that you know, that's a discussion worth having. Something like you know, I guess some people think people who are anti-Trump are SJWs, but I think it's worth discussing if you're, you know, against political things or just against, for instance, sexual assault and the Me Too movement stuff. Like Terry Crews coming forward and saying like, hey, I was sexually assaulted, here's what's going on, and kind of giving a voice to that. Those are good discussions. It just depends on, like, you can kind of tell when there's a bad faith actor and a good faith actor, and I think that's really the distinction. I think most people that are called SJWs are just advocates for social justice, and then SJW is kind of this, although it's an overused shit term that I don't like to use. It's someone who's probably operating in bad faith, and probably someone who just kind of wants to win, like the argument or whatever's at hand. Like most of the time, people that are called SJWs are just people that give a shit about something. Like there's this sort of phenomenon, like if you give a shit about a thing, like and you're passionate about the thing, suddenly you're a social justice warrior. But this blasé attitude towards things that actually matter, like going out and voting for people, and like, you know, liking a movie that has black characters in it, like it's something as small as like, you know, having representation or being for trans rights or being for gay marriage. Like these are things that affect people, and like, you know, we need to extend rights to these people. I don't think I don't think caring about a thing makes you an SJW. I think that's a very different thing. So I guess that's my take. Like, I think it's an overused term that doesn't have a lot of weight to it anymore. So, but outrage culture is real. That said, it is a real thing. It just I don't think Twitter is real life. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I don't agree with that. Jesse, would you agree with what Jake just said?
No, not at all.
Tell us why.
Number one, social justice warrior, so-called social justice warrior, only came about because men are weak. And when men are weak, they allow the women to create all kind of negative, evil things, because women need men to look up to. And if they don't have men to look up to, they are operating out of the darkness. And so that's what we see in the so-called social justice warrior. There is no such thing as police brutality. That was made up by the social justice warrior, the children of the lie. And the children of the lie are the liberal media, the Democratic Party, the right-o Republicans, the never-Trumpers, and the black race hustlers. They made that up in order to intimidate white people, especially straight, white, conservative Christian men of power, because these people want to take over the country and turn it into a socialist society. And the white, straight Christian men of power are the only ones who are stopping that from happening, because they are of what is right.
Big reward.
Because if you look at the black men, the Mexican men, the whatever else, the Asian men, none of them have power. They are beta males all the way. They have been already defeated by the women due to the weakness of their fathers. And so this whole police brutality thing was made up in order to keep black people angry and use them for a personal gain. Terry Crews is a weak, pathetic, poor excuse of a man. He's, in my opinion, he's all female. He act like a woman. He think like a woman. He speaks like a woman. The great white hope, President Trump, is hated because he is a straight, white, conservative, Christian man of power who is putting the country first. He's a nationalist, and he is not afraid to stand up against evil, and he doesn't care if you're a man or a woman, whatever color you might be. He is not afraid to speak the truth to you and stand up. We're trying to get this big, beautiful wall put up around the country right now, and the children of the lie are trying to stop him. But I have to tell you, the wall is going up. because the president is going to keep his word. So there will be a wall going up. The other thing is that Black people are suffering not because this phony idea of racism, but due to the destruction of the family and the lack of moral character, and the women have taken over. And women are not created to lead, but to follow. And they need men, real men, that they can follow. Reward. And so that's what you see happening in the Black community. I grew up on a plantation in Alabama. I grew up under the Jim Crow laws, and we never heard of racism. The word didn't even exist when I was growing up. That only came about after this phony so-called civil rights movement started. And then the government became the daddy of Black people. And that's when that word came about. And that word was made up to intimidate white people, to call them racist, to take their stuff away from them, their jobs, their colleges, their opportunities, and give it to the Blacks, right? And so white people are afraid of that one word, racism. There's no such thing, and never has been, racism, sexism, homophobism, Islamophobism, deadbeat dadism, or white supremacism. Those are made up words in order to intimidate and control. That's how homosexuality came about out of the closet, because the men became afraid to speak against it, and they allowed the women to take over and start leading. And women, because they're so emotional, tend to accept evil because they become emotional about it and they can't resist it. So that's why we got to rebuild men, return them, so we can bring back good and bring back strength into the family and to the country.
Let me just ask a question real quick, Jake. Are you saying, Jesse, that you feel that Black people were better off under the Jim Crow laws?
Black people were 100% better off under the Jim Crow laws than they are today as a free people. They're not free mentally, but they're free in a physical way. But they were much better off because they had families, had fathers and mothers who got married, grandparents around who were married. We worked from day one. Black people bought land. They were forced to have their own educational system, which worked very well. And they went to Black universities, and they would come back and help in professional ways, school teachers and principals and bankers and all kind of avenues.
Big reward.
Once the government took over, and by the way, Jim Crow law was created by Democrats, and we knew that growing up. Most Black people were Republicans during those days. That's how the Republican Party got started.
Can I stop?
It was started by Black people along with white people.
Can I stop?
And so my one quick note. My aunt expired,
and then we'll go to Jake.
My aunt expired. One of my aunt expired this past Sunday, and she got married when she was like 20 or younger. I mean, a little older, and she and her husband bought buku land, and they was under the Jim Crow law, and they had 15 kids, and all of their kids graduated from college. They became professionals, and they did all this under the Jim Crow law. So it's a lie that Jim Crow law held Black people back. Blacks are being held back today because they don't have their own mindset.
Okay, Jake.
Okay, so you said the Jim Crow laws.
Big reward.
And you reiterated several times that the Jim Crow laws were beneficial for Black people, and that the Democrats were the ones that put the
Well, I didn't say they were beneficial. I said Black. I said Black were better off then.
Okay, that's fine.
Than they are today.
So the Jim Crow laws made it so that Black folks were better off than they were today. So wouldn't you argue that in fact the Democrats helped Black people be better off because of the Jim Crow laws? So that's a good thing the Democrats did.
No.
Right?
No, the Democrats didn't help Black people be better off. Their belief in God, their getting married, being responsible, being good examples, and making their children be responsible and respect others as they did themselves. The ability to work, to buy land, to do your own thing.
These sound like good
and
things
that
the Democrats did.
That came from within. That came from within Black people, not because of Jim Crow law. I remember for colors only sign, for whites only.
Yeah.
I went to a movie theater once down in Eufaula, Alabama. I grew up near the area. We had to sit in the balcony, but that was fine because we had better seating up there. We saw what was happening. But because our parents didn't make us hate it, it was no problem.
So okay, so the Democrats did a good thing. That's fine. So you said there's no such thing as police.
Better seating at events. Yeah.
You said there's no such thing as police brutality.
You're putting words in my mouth. I said the Democrats started the Jim Crow laws, not the Republican Party.
Right.
It was the Democrats who did that.
Right. And
as the Democrats are keeping most black, as the Democrats are keeping most black people on the plantation today, they'll spoil them. They'll make them feel that their issues are due to white people, the so-called idea of racism.
Okay.
They have really taken away the desire of black people to take care of themselves by giving them free stuff, affirmative action, free Obama phones, and they have told blacks that it's the white people holding them back, not themselves.
So, right, but
they're using them for the vote.
Okay, but that just means that the Democrats did a thing that was beneficial to the black population, and now they don't.
I don't think I don't think either of you are going to agree on this.
I know, I'm going to move on.
At this point,
I'm going to move on.
I don't think either of you are going to agree there.
I don't agree.
You were going to talk about.
It was good for blacks. It was beneficial, but he's not going to give credit to the Democrats for doing that, I guess.
Correct. So that's
I
why
give credit to
police brutality.
I give credit to the values of black people which came from God, because the blacks could have been blaming the Jim Crow laws and feeling like victims as they do today.
Sure.
But we never felt like a victim, and I don't feel that way today either.
Okay, so you said there's no such thing as police brutality. Does that mean you think that in no situation ever has a police officer used more force than was necessary, ever in the history of the United States?
What I'm saying is that no such thing as brutality, and the blacks who are crying brutality are lying to you, because had they raised their children in the right way to go, instead of becoming criminals and attacking white people and stealing and robbing and killing in their own communities,
a big reward,
and teaching them to hate the cop, when they're stopped by cops, common sense says follow the instruction of the officer. But instead, they cry. They start yelling and cursing at the officer, refusing to show their identity, their ID, and the cops don't know what's going to happen, so they have to protect themselves. And so the blacks have been set up to overreact with the cops, and when the cops do things to protect themselves, they cry police brutality. And here come the social justice warriors, those white people who are using blacks for their own personal gain, just as the blacks are using blacks. They come in and say racism or brutality, come on blacks and vote for me. And the blacks follow left, right in line, just like the so-called Black Lives Matter people. We all know that the Black Lives Matter is an organization that was built by a bunch of black lesbians and black radical homosexuals and black wicked and white wicked social justice warriors. And that Black Lives Matter.
That again. I want to hear that again. Please do that again.
It was founded by black lesbians.
That's awesome.
Lesbians. So okay, so what about police?
Black Lives Matter is worse. Is worse than the KKK. They're worse than the KKK.
Okay,
we know that.
Okay, so I'm gonna hold on to that real quick because I want to ask you if police have ever used excessive force against white people.
Against white people?
Yeah, ever once.
Like, I don't know of any.
A police officer just like beat the shit out of a white guy. Like maybe he was on crack or something. Who knows?
Maybe they have. I don't know. But you know, people on crack don't normally. People on crack don't normally follow instructions. So you have to use force in order to get them to follow the instructions. Stop trying to fight back because they're very strong when they're on crack, and they think that they can beat the cop. So you have to take force. Enforce force.
Can I point out something obvious too? What about Rodney King?
Yeah, I was thinking about that as I was speaking. Rodney King brought that upon himself because he tried to get away in a car, putting other people at high speed. When they finally caught up with him, they tried to get him to stop, and put the handcuffs on. He refused to do that. It took several cops to stop that guy. He was on drugs, he was high, and he was strong in his being high. And so they had to use force in order to stop him. They had no other choice.
Okay, what about Eric Garner, who was put into a headlock and chokehold and then passed out and died?
Another fat black pig who refused to follow the instructions.
Yeah, he was a large guy.
Had Eric Gardner followed the instruction of the officer, he might be alive today unless he died a natural death because he was having some type of medical problem. Had he followed the instruction, put his hand behind his back, and did what they said, he probably would be alive today unless he died of natural causes.
Yeah, that could be. What about Tamir Rice, who was playing with a toy in a park and got shot in basically
a drive-by? You can go on and on and on. All you're doing is asking me about the
No, I'm just going to do the two, and then I'm done. Just the two, and then I'm done.
If you notice,
how do you feel about Tamir Rice?
If you notice, decent black people are not being beat up or killed or hurt by cops. Only those blacks who are radicals and refuse to
Tamir Rice was
follow
a child
the instruction of the officer.
He was playing with a toy and in the park,
and
the officers drove up
and
shot him.
But you asked me a question.
No, I'm just saying, is that too
much
force?
I know, but what you're leaving out is that the cops received a call from people who thought this boy had a gun.
Yeah, they thought,
because it was a BB gun, and he had taken off.
Absolutely,
he had taken the orange tip off the gun to indicate it was a BB gun.
Okay.
So when the cops drive up, this guy pull the gun out. They don't know if it's a toy gun or not.
Totally agree.
It doesn't matter if a baby was holding it. They didn't know that.
Yep.
So you can't blame the cop for that. And why are you giving blacks a reason to be out of control? That's ridiculous. You're trying to use the blacks for your personal gain. No wonder you're an atheist.
No, I was just wondering if
you're a dishonest person.
I was just wondering if you thought that was excessive force. If
you're a dishonest person, because you're trying to justify wrongdoing, and any person that's tried to justify wrongdoing, especially a male, is a beta male.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I was just seeing if you thought what you thought about that. I don't care.
You sound like a woman.
Let's go to hold on before this devolves into personal.
Let's see. Sounds like Jake.
Hold on. Let's see if we can't stick on one more topic, because I want to make sure that I want to make sure we'll get there, Jesse. But before we do that, I want to make sure we get to the Great White Hope and his border wall.
The Great White Hope.
Oh, we will. I have that written down too.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm ahead of you then. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Well, I was just going to ask you how many people Black Lives Matter has lynched. I was just wondering.
Every day. Every day when they refuse to go to Chicago and Gary, Indiana, and other parts of the country where black crime, killing, murder out of control. When Black Lives Matter refuse to deal with that, they're helping the criminals in the black community to lynch one another by killing each other.
So,
and that's greater than what the so-called KKK supposedly have done to black people.
What do you mean so-called,
okay,
Jesse?
Yeah.
They act like the KKK were roaming the earth and killing black people. Of course, there was hatred from the KKK towards some blacks, and some blacks were killed, but not nearly as many blacks being killed, robbed, murdered in their own home by black people. No, it doesn't even compare.
Wait, I thought,
and I don't hear anyone. I don't hear the social justice warriors or any one of these Black Lives Matter others complaining about that.
Big reward.
I don't want to get bogged down necessarily, but haven't you in the past said that racism doesn't exist, but then you just said that the KKK hate black people?
Big reward.
Do they hate them?
Not all. Okay. But hatred and racism are not the same thing. Hatred
hating
is
someone
when you
for
judge
their
your
skin.
fellow man.
Yeah.
They didn't hate him for their skin.
Okay, why'd they hate him?
They made some type of judgment of them. Maybe they saw them in low lives or whatever reason.
Yeah, they do.
The original intent of the KKK, which were Democrats, by the way, was to stop blacks from moving forward in the Republican Party. As I said, there were black and whites who started the Republican Party, sure. And black people were senators and congressmen. They held high positions in the Republican Party, and the KKK tried to stop them, not because they were black, but because they didn't want the Republican Party to become a strong party. And that's why they started to attack. It later became, hatred, but that wasn't the original intent.
If I offer you a book, would you read it?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, for anyone else watching, Fire in a Canebrake by Laura Wexler.
Her ramble was just a gorilla.
But she's a woman.
I don't need another personal opinion of this. I know this myself. I was there.
It's just a good book. Okay, so about this.
So you can send it to me.
Okay, about the Great White Hope.
Are you going to send it to me?
Sure.
Are you going to send me the book?
I could probably track down my my book. Yeah. So about the Great White Hope, Donald Trump, is he an alpha male?
All the way.
Okay.
Alpha.
Okay. How far do you think he can run, like consecutive miles? I'm just wondering.
Don't care. Not concerned.
Okay.
Uninterested.
So physical fitness has nothing to do with being an alpha male.
It has nothing to do with the Great White Hope.
Okay. So Eric Garner could have been an alpha male that was choked out. Okay. So about the wall. Why do you like the wall? How do you I guess
because I love my country,
mm-hmm.
and I want to put my country first. I put my country first,
sure.
And I want to be protected.
Yeah.
And I want all the citizens of America to be protected from foreign enemies. And we have illegal aliens coming across, bringing drugs and crime and rape and robbery, and they hate white people, by the way, and they hate black people too. I want to know from Jake.
Yeah.
When the illegal aliens come into our country,
mm-hmm.
they first land in the black communities,
sure.
And especially in Compton and South Central LA and other areas, and they are taking the jobs away from blacks. They are bringing in drug and crime. They hate the blacks, so they're fighting each other. They're overcrowding in the public schools.
Mm-hmm.
They're overcrowding in public hospitals, and the women who are citizens can't get in to have babies and whatever they do in there. Blacks are being hurt first and foremost by illegal aliens. Does that bother you?
So wouldn't that be the Democrats making life harder for the black population?
That's not the question, Jake.
And therefore not just handing them out free stuff?
Question.
So yes,
that's not
the answer
the question.
is yes.
Does that bother you?
No.
Does that bother you that the blacks are being hurt first and foremost by the illegal alien? You don't care about the blacks?
No.
Oh, you don't care about the blacks?
Nope.
I'm sorry?
No.
Then why are you asking me about Eric Garner and all those people? You don't care anyway. You hate the blacks?
No.
Do you love the blacks?
A big reward.
You don't love the blacks?
No, because I would never make a value judgment on someone's skin color, right?
So you don't love black people?
No, I love some people that are black.
Do you love black people?
No. Do you?
Okay. Well, then that would explain why you don't care that they're being hurt first and foremost by the illegal aliens. You love the illegal aliens coming in?
Do you wait, do you love black people?
Do you love the illegal aliens coming in, Jake?
No.
Well, no wonder you're a beta and
do you love,
an atheist.
Wait, do you love
Jesse?
Do you love black
people? Do you love black people?
I love all people, even my enemy.
Okay.
I love black people.
So you love illegal aliens.
I love white people. Yes. I love the illegal aliens.
All right.
But I still don't want them coming into my country illegally.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, people we love, we definitely don't want them around us. That's for sure. That's what I think about when I think
Who is we? Who is we?
You and me and other people.
You say you don't love them, but
people we love. We definitely don't want them around us, right?
Who do you love? You love nobody. You love no one.
I love all sorts of people. I just don't love people based on like a demographic. because
Jay,
that seems pretty shallow.
If you don't love all, if you don't love all, Jay, you love no one.
Oh, okay.
That's deep. So, Jesse, real quick, how are we going to pay for the Great White Hope's wall? Just curious. Like,
Well,
what's your plan?
We're first going to pay with our tax dollars, just like we pay for welfare and we take care of the illegal aliens when they come in. We're going to pay with our tax dollars, and then Mexico will refund us.
How are they going to enforce that?
Well, they get a lot of money from us, and believe me, the president knows how to take it out.
What? Okay, so what?
He will get the money back.
What kind of money do they get from
Mexico?
us?
Enough to pay us back the money for putting up the wall.
I mean, what?
My word.
Like, why do we give them the money?
We do trade with them, trade deals, and the president can get the money back that way as well. We also fund them in other ways that we could get the money back. The money will be repaid. I mean, you can rest on that.
A trade deal is like going to the store and buying a bag of flour and you trade them currency for it. Like, that's just a transaction. So you're not saying that we ought to not pay them for things we get.
Putting a tariff on it?
Right.
We give them money.
Big reward.
Mexico, and we also do deals with them. We get the money back. As simple as that.
Oh, so if we say it a lot, it'll happen.
It'll just happen.
It's like cosmic begging, like The Secret.
Have you
read The Secret?
The president not only say what he's going to do, he does it. Have you noticed what he's done so far since being in the White House?
I need to
the Great White Hope.
Let me just say this. We told Jesse that it'll be about 45 minutes, so we've got about 10 minutes left. If just to let you guys know, so that you can make sure you get to any questions on both sides that you want to ask. So
he can
just want to keep that in mind.
So Jay, let me ask, why don't you love black people?
Because I prefer not to make a judgment based on someone's demographic. So I don't.
Why don't you love black people?
Right, because I don't love any person based on their skin color. It doesn't really.
Why
come
do you
into
hate
play.
black people? Why do you hate black people?
I would hate a black person for the same reason I would hate anybody else or love anybody else, like their value as a person. And
why do you hate black people?
Do you think I hate all black people?
If you don't love, you hate. There's the only other choice. There's no gray area.
You can't just like somebody? Wait. Are you gay?
Yeah, I don't love or hate Jake. I like him.
Wait. So that means that like when you look at me, you love me. Like that's a little too like we just met.
It's kind of creepy. Yeah.
Well, that's because you're in a fallen.
I'm in a fallen
well, that's
state.
because Jay, you're in a fallen state, and you don't know what I mean. Love is not a feeling. Love is not an emotional thing. Love means not to hate you. When you don't have anger, you have love. And so I have nothing against you. And I have love for you. I wish you well. And I know that you're in a fallen state, so you can't comprehend that. But when you don't have hate, you have love.
So
and that's what it means to love.
So if it's not an emotional state, how could I possibly explain to you why I would or would not love somebody if I can't even equivocate? Like it's not an emotion I can experience. It's just a state. How could I possibly explain to you the reason why I feel that way? The reason why you hate black people or love them? Yeah. If it's not it's not an emotion. It's just a state of being. I wouldn't have anything informing me as to the why, right? So why do you love or hate anybody? Because I don't judge them. I realize that what they do, they can't help it. And they're in a fallen state, and they're controlled by a different spirit. And it's not them, but it's the spirit that made a home in them. And so I have compassion for all people because I realize now even the angry ones, the emotional ones, well, anger is emotion. So all of them I love you, Jake, because I realize you can't help yourself. You're in a fallen state, and Satan is your daddy. How do you define how do you define compassion? Where you don't hate, to discern, where you understand that they know not what they do.
And so you don't blame the person because you know that it's a spirit that made a home in them that causes them to do the things that they wouldn't ordinarily do. As you're doing now, Jay.
So do you
Satan is your daddy.
So do you disagree with my definition of concern for the
I'm
suffering?
glad you're not married, Jay.
Well, me too. That would make me a beta male. So, do you?
Right. It would be like, because if you were married, Jay, it would be like two lesbians.
So Jesse, let me ask.
So lost.
How does somebody get out of Can you tell us how does somebody, like, if somebody's suffering from beta male syndrome, how do they get out of being a beta male?
Good question. They have to get to know themselves and realize that they're wrong. That is wrong to play God, because anyone who judge or make decisions or think that they're in control of their own life, they are playing God. And when you play God, you're separated from the true God. And Satan is your daddy, really.
So, no.
But when you can see that it's wrong, when you can see that it's wrong to judge, to be angry, and then if you harbor anger against like your father, your mother, or both, you go and forgive them because they let you down, but they couldn't help it. And in that very moment, when you forgive, then God will forgive you and bring you into the alpha state of mind, which is the mind of God, instead of the beta male, which is the mind of Satan.
So,
but you got to get to know yourself and see that you're wrong for playing God.
So you said we're not in control of our own lives?
No.
Okay, so then how?
Not. No,
okay.
You're not.
Okay, so if that's the case, then
how
can I take control of my own life?
By realizing that you're wrong for being angry.
But I'm not in control of. But I'm not in control of realizing anything. I have to wait for God to make me realize the thing. So I'm not in control of that. So God is making me a beta male on purpose?
So you're not aware that you have anger, that you're an angry person?
No, I'm not a very angry person, no.
Are you aware that you're an angry person, that you have anger?
That I've ever experienced anger, or that I'm angry in
general? Are you aware that you have anger?
Yes, I am capable of being angry, yeah.
So do you think it's right to have, I didn't ask you if you were capable of being angry. Okay. I asked you, are you aware that you have anger?
Yeah, I'm
See how the son of Satan tried to trick you?
No.
Are you aware, Jake?
I'm not in control of that. You've already said.
Jake, how can you change?
I couldn't possibly.
Jake, are you aware that you have anger? Are you aware that you have anger, Jake?
Wait, Jesse, how could he change anything if he's not in control? He has to be in control in order to change something. Would he not be?
He can't change it. No man or woman can change themselves because it's a spirit. But the moment that they realize, that they do have this anger that is wrong to have it, and forgive, then God will change them. You can't change yourself.
Okay, so he has to wait for God.
So then it's not on me
to change.
So kick back, Jake. Yeah, you don't have to do anything. Kick back and wait for God to do it.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just amazing, chill, and then I get to be amazing later on in life.
For a while.
Yeah. Well, you chill and see how far that gets you, buddy.
But you just said you just said I had to. What am I supposed to do, Jesse? Save me.
You're screwed either way, Jake. You're screwed either way.
What I recommend, Jay, you just suffer. Suffer and die.
But that's
because if you don't overcome, that's what
you told me not to do.
That's not bad advice, actually.
You told me to do the opposite of that, Jesse.
You just told him you loved him, and now you're telling him to just suffer and die.
How do you feel about me, Jesse?
That is tough love.
I love you. Suffer and die.
God is not going to force him to admit that he's wrong. He'll let him suffer.
So I can't know I'm wrong if I'm not in control of the capability of even like introspection. Like I don't have that because I'm not in control of myself. So if I'm not in control of myself,
you play that. Hey Jay, you play that game and you just suffer. Maybe your suffering will cause you to realize you're wrong. Maybe you have a hard head. You're an atheist, by the way.
By the way, yeah, you're not aware of that, Jake. That you're an atheist. You got to make sure that you're aware of that. Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Jesse, how was the women's march this past weekend? I saw your video.
It was amazing. I have to tell you, it was absolutely amazing, Kyle. The women are absolutely out of control, and they're teaching that to the young girls too. And the reason they're out of control because they don't have men. Their fathers let them down. The men who've been in their lives let them down. And so they don't have the guiding light to guide them in the right way to go. So they're totally operating from darkness. They had sluts down there. They had men hating women down there. They had radical homosexuals. Every evil that you could think of was down there. It was amazing. Check out the video on the fallerstate.tv. It's just a small example. You know, one thing that was left out though, they hate white people.
I've never met a homosexual that wasn't radical, I don't think.
I'm telling you, that's right. Yeah. There are some out there though that, I mean, in the world who are homosexuals and they know that is wrong and they want to overcome it. They just don't quite know how. But then there are those radical homosexuals who think that it's right to be a homosexual, trying to impose themselves upon other people.
Yeah, that is a radical position to take, clearly, for homosexual.
Gotta watch out for those.
Yeah.
Jesse, do you
way out there left field?
Do you have sex?
Do I?
Yeah.
Did you ask me that?
Yeah.
Who asked me that?
Yeah. Do you?
That was from you, Jake?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I don't.
No?
Are you hitting on him, Jake?
No.
I'm not judging.
I was just wondering if you were.
We've had couples get together on the show before.
Getting any?
I'm sorry.
Okay. So do you think that sex is a bad thing or a good thing or?
The only purpose of sex is if you want to get married and have a family.
Sure.
If you don't want to have a family, there's no need for sex. Women are the sex dealers and men are the sex addicts.
Sex dealers? Okay. All right.
But if you don't want to have a family, Jake, there's no need for sex.
Okay. So
Jesse, that brings me to let me ask this question. That's a good. Did you see Stephen Molyneux's tweet a couple days ago about similar to that? Steve, help me out. What did Stephen Molyneux say? The whites were something about slavery and drug dealing. I can't remember off the top of my head. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't remember. I don't really follow him that much, so I can't really help you.
Jesse, did you happen to see that?
I don't remember seeing that. No.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing it either. I don't remember if I have him on my Twitter.
I'm trying to. Let's see. He says that. Okay, here we go. Who is worse, the drug dealer or the drug user? When it came to slavery, blacks were the dealers, whites were the users. What do you think about that?
Big reward.
I don't know what that means. When it came to slavery, blacks were the dealers.
Blacks were an integral part of the slave trade, like way back when.
He doesn't know. Whomever said that have no idea what they're talking about. One thing that I want to say is that all the slaves are dead, and that guy is an idiot. He has no idea. And secondly, if you notice that in Africa, blacks own slaves in Africa. Black use other blacks for money. They use it as a tool to buy products. It was the blacks in Africa who sold other blacks to the Arabs, who sold them around the world. And likewise, whites have been enslaved, the Jews have been enslaved. Black people are not the only one who has been enslaved before. It's just that in America, blacks have been made to feel like victims because they are being used by the race hustlers. And so they are using this idea of slavery to keep blacks down in order to gain power and wealth. Slavery is not an issue for black people at all, not one iota. It wasn't an issue for us growing up under the Jim Crow laws. And I have to tell you, my great-grandfather was killed by a white guy or white people who fired a black person from one of the plantations in Alabama. And my great-grandfather hired him. And they came one night and said, hey, you need to get rid of that guy. And my great-grandfather said, no, I'm not going to let him go. And so they came late at night to kill him. He had a gun under the bed. He ran them off. And they came another night. He went for his gun, but his wife had removed the gun from the bed, and they were able to kill him because they hated black people, and they really didn't like it that my grandfather stood up. And yet, we were not taught that all white people were bad, that we needed to hate people, that they were, but we were taught to treat people the way we would like to be treated, and there's good and bad in all cultures. So whoever wrote that is an idiot. Don't pay him no mind. He's lost. He's a beta.
I think you're kind of agreeing with them, though.
Yes,
It sounds like you're
Stephen
agreeing with
Molyneux
them.
beta.
Stephen,
That is, yes.
yeah.
I don't.
That was a powerful story.
Stephen, oh, I know Stephen. Stephen is a good man. I just don't understand that statement. So if it means what I think it means. But Steve, I know
agreeing with him.
I think you're right. I think you're right on that, Jesse. I think you hit it. He doesn't. I don't understand that tweet either. It doesn't make.
Yeah, I don't. I haven't read it, so I don't understand it. Yeah. But I do know that Molyneux is a good man. He really is.
Or but any. I know that we're a little bit over time. But anything else that you guys want to say? Throw out there.
I'm here for as long as
to each
Jesse
other
wants
before.
me to be.
Oh yeah.
Well, the only thing I have to say in closing is that things are not going to get better in our country or around the world until men start leading the way in the right way to go. Because women and children look to men, their earthly fathers, their husbands or boyfriends or whatever. They look to them to see the right way to go. And if men don't return to their natural state of being, things are only going to get worse instead of getting better. And white people have to overcome the fear of being called racist. White people are the most hated species on this side of heaven. And they're hated because they represent good right now, especially white, straight, conservative men. And if they give up, the white, straight, Christian, conservative man give in to the attacks, we're going to have in America what we have in South Africa right now, where the blacks have taken over South Africa, and they have and they are attacking, the blacks are attacking whites. They're taking their land away from them without compensation. They are killing them even in their own homes. They're raping, robbing, murdering, killing. And if whites don't stand up and speak up and stop the people of color from taking over our government, police forces and things like that, we're going to have that in America. The white people will be hunted down, killed, taking land away from them, robbed, and whatever else, because white people are showing fear, especially the men, by being afraid to speak up and protect themselves and their families, and then catering to the people of color. And the very people that they're catering to will turn on them. And that day is coming. We have 2 Muslims in Congress right now, and we all know that Muslims hate Christians and Jews. And we have lesbians in Congress. We have a woman, Cortez, who is living with her boyfriend, and she's a Congresswoman. The values are going down, and white people will suffer the price for it.
I have a question.
That's what I had.
Well, I tell you what, if you guys don't continue, I have a quick question before we end.
Yes.
I'm kind of curious about, and I wanted to ask because I don't think I'm going to have the opportunity again. And just for clarification, because I do want your position on it, Jesse. Is it true that you at one time said that if a woman is raped, she should be forced to marry her rapist?
No, that's a lie. I never said that. That was made up by the children of the lie. I have it on my YouTube channel. I never said that.
I watched that video.
Okay, so do you think she should marry the rapist at all?
I'm sorry?
You think she should marry the rapist at all?
Not at all. No.
Okay, so.
And I never said she should.
Okay, you did say that the rapist should father the child, though.
No, I didn't say that either. That's a lie.
Okay.
Well,
I mean, I did that stream on my channel. Like,
I challenged Jay to pull up where I said the rapist should raise the child, or that the mother should marry the rapist, or any sort of thing. I never said anything like that. That's a pure lie.
I remember hearing something about
you can
raising,
expect that from the children of the lie. They lie.
Well, Jesse, what clarify? What did you say? Then since you're here, what actually did you say instead of that?
I said that if a woman should get raped and get pregnant, that she should not have an abortion, because if she has an abortion, she's bringing more guilt upon herself, and she should have the baby and then not get married to another man and bring a stepfather between the baby and the mother, because the child needs the love of the parent and not the step parent, and that mother should make a sacrifice and raise her child and not bring anyone between them, because kids.
Wait, so with the rapist?
With the rapist.
I'm sorry.
With the rapist, so
when they don't
she
have
should not
both
get
parents.
What
do you?
What
is he saying?
Okay, so
what do you mean? I just told you that she should not get married, but she should raise the child and not have an abortion.
The soul yearns for the
You're
father.
saying with the rapist?
Okay. The soul yearns.
Should she raise
Hold
the
on, I have
child
it.
with the rapist and not get married?
So what now?
I mean, I have the quote.
She should not get married to anybody else, but raise the child with the rapist.
Jake has the quote.
Are you saying that?
I have the quote.
That's not what I'm saying. Are you saying that?
Jake,
all right,
I just told you that.
One at a time.
Are you that dumb? I just told
Jake
you.
says he's got the. Jake says he's got the quote.
No, he doesn't.
The soul yearns for the father. He's talking about the
Yes.
child. The soul
that's why
yearns for the
she
father. The father being the rapist.
Right.
And you're saying that you go on to say
Not a stepfather.
not
or
a stepfather, not a
They want
stepmother.
their natural
they want
father
their natural
and
father
natural mother.
and the natural mother.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the natural father
And
would be the
so
rapist,
that-
dude.
Right, but
Right.
the mother should raise the child and don't bring another man between she and the child. And the mother should not talk down about the father, the father, because the kids don't care. They're not concerned about what happened. They grow up innocent and they love both parents. And if the mother tell the child, well, your father didn't love you, or your father was a rapist or something like that, she's going to turn the kids against the father, and the kid will suffer the price for that, because they'll hate the father. If they hate the father, they're going to hate God. But if she just raised the child but not down the father at all, then the kid will grow up without that hatred and they will have a good life.
Isn't it okay that the kid hates the father in that situation?
Yeah, I
though,
don't
because
have an
the
issue
father
with
raped
that,
the mother?
honestly.
No,
Yeah, I
it's
don't
not
have a problem with that.
okay.
Why
It's
not?
never okay. It's never okay to hate, because when you hate, you fall away from God. And if she caused the kids to hate the father, the kids will fall away from
Right.
God and they'll have a rough life.
So do you think a woman?
So
Big
I just want to
reward.
clarify this. Hang on, Jake. I
Yeah.
really want to clarify this.
You're good.
Just a simple thing. Do you think?
Why can't you
the
understand it?
father-
Why don't you understand it? What
I
is not
confuse
there?
easily. I'm not a very intelligent individual, so I want to keep it really simple. The parent, the rapist. Do you believe that rapist should be in the child's life?
Not at all. No.
He just doesn't want the kid is spending time
yeah,
hating
he
the
wants
parent.
to-
Is what he's saying.
That's right.
So do you think
That's
a,
right.
do you
Alright.
think a single mother?
Is that real clear now? Is that clear?
Do you think
Yeah,
do you think
it's
a
clear enough to
woman?
me, yes.
Do you think a woman can properly raise a
Okay.
child without a man in the house?
If she doesn't hate the father, she can, yes, because God will work through her.
Okay.
But if she hates the father, she cannot.
Okay. Do you think women can take on roles of leadership? Like could
It's
we
all
have,
depend
could
on
we have a
what
wo- could
type
we have a
of-
woman president?
We could, but we shouldn't,
Why shouldn't we?
because women are not created to lead; they are created to follow. And running this country is a very difficult task, and the woman is not created for that.
Okay. I close my question.
Okay.
Do you
That's a
disagree
big
with that,
yikes,
Jake?
Jesse. Big
Do
yikes.
You disagree with that?
I very strongly do.
Yeah, even I got to go on record to say that
Beta!
I disagree with that.
The reason you
I'm beta,
disagree
delta,
with that,
gamma, epsilon. I'm way down the list on the alphabet. I don't care.
I'm
It's all
fine.
good.
Jake, the reason you disagree with that, you disagree because you have the mindset and emotion of a woman. You think and act like a woman.
Do you think thinking like a woman is
think like a
inherently
woman.
bad?
Yes, for a man,
No, for anybody. Like, do you think a woman thinking like another woman is a bad thing?
a woman thinking like another woman. What do you mean?
I don't know, like just any two women.
If a
having
woman
similar-
thinks
Should
like
women start
another-
thinking like men?
should women think like
Yeah,
men?
should women
If a
think like
woman-
men instead of women thinking like women?
If a woman think like another woman, she's not thinking like herself. So that would be bad because she need to be herself. And a lot of
That's not what
women
he's
do
asking.
become. A lot of women do become their mothers because they resent their mothers, and you become like what you hate, and so they do lose themselves, and they become like the person they resent, and so they're not happy women.
So if,
But when they forgive their mothers, they become themselves because there's nothing like being yourself. Then they're happy.
But wait, Jesse, couldn't theoretically, and follow me here now, couldn't a homosexual couple, like two dads raising a child, wouldn't that create like a super alpha male? Because you have double the values of the
super male, the Ubermenschen.
Super beta males, but no, because if
Well,
you
that's better
have
than his
two
beta,
men,
ain't it? Super beta.
if you have two men together, the answer is no. And if you have two men together, that's like two women being together because they have the mindset and emotion of a woman. They feel like women. That's why they're together. You wouldn't have two real men together as a man and a woman.
I see. Well, it was.
I really have to run.
Yeah,
What?
but please,
appreciate it.
we appreciate you joining us. Go ahead and plug your website and your nonprofit again before you head out, and we appreciate you stopping by.
Carl, I really have to say thank you for having me on. It was fun. It was like amazing.
Hey, if you ever want to come on stream and talk for a really long time, Jesse, happy to have you at any point. I'm on Twitter.
Hey, Jesse, will you do me a favor before you go?
What?
Will you say non sequitur is amazing, just so I can have that clip?
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay, let me do this first. Check out my website by going to rebuildingdemand.com. Rebuildingdemand.com. My radio show is jlptalk.com. Anything else, Hermes, I should give it? And jesseleepeterson.com. And the last thing is the Fallen State, FALLN, the fallenstate.com. What? Oh, I'm sorry, the fallenstate.tv. The fallenstate.tv. And so what do you want me to say?
Say the non sequitur show is amazing.
The non-secular show is amazing.
Excellent.
Secular is amazing.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Jesse. This was fun.
All right, thank you,
hope to
buddy.
see you again soon.
And Jake and the other guy too. I forgot your name, and I'm sorry.
I forgot my own name. I go by Steve. Yeah, Steve.
Oh, Steve. It was good meeting you guys. I enjoyed talking to you,
Likewise,
Jake.
man. Likewise.
Have a good night.
I hope Jake get over being a beta.
I'm just kind of curious. Does Jake sound more like a woman than I do? I just really got to have a self-conscious moment.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Jake sounds like a woman more than you, but you didn't say a lot,
Yeah,
I can sense beta in you, but you didn't say as much as Jake says. So he's total beta.
No, Kyle's the one that has a lot of things in him. Trust me.
Amazing.
Amazing. Thank you, guys.
Amazing.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, Jesse.
All right, you too.